Okay, we're back, we're live, we're Think Tech Talks. We're here on Community Matters because they do. And the title of our show is Better Business Through the BBB. Is that okay?
That sounds perfect.
Okay.
We like it.
That's Greg Dunn to my left. He's the Executive Director, no, the President and CEO of Better Business Hawaii, Hawaii's Better Business
Hawaii's Better
Bureau.
Business,
Yeah, bbb.org. You should write that down, bbb.org. Let's talk about what it is. You know, when I first started practicing law, which was before anyone in this room was born, even me, the Better Business Bureau was a big thing, you know, in the practice. If we wanted to check something out, or if a client said, "What do you think about this company, that company?" or if we wanted to besmirch somebody's reputation because they did something bad, you know, we'd call the BBB. Right. And that was one of the ways that that our clients had some retribution, if you will, for getting screwed in business. But since then, you know, haven't heard as much about it, and I want to sort of catch up with you. So, when was the National BBB established?
Well, the National Better Business Bureau was founded in 1912. So literally, this was your grandfather's BBB when it was formed.
Yeah.
Initially it was formed out of a desire of large businesses in particular to engage in self-regulation. That was the age of rampant fraudulent advertising and big claims, and but very little of reality in those claims.
That was the capitalism unbridled.
Unbridled capitalism.
Yeah.
The invisible hand smacking everyone around.
It was a great moment in American history, you know. It was.
It's back when you could really get a Coke, and it had Coke
with Coke.
With Coke, and it's unfortunately during that time period, it spawned the necessity for the business community to come together and find a way for them to help forestall what was eventually going to become the significant government regulation in the business.
Okay, I'd like to hesitate on that one point of the fact that this was business regulating itself.
Exactly.
I mean that's a wonderful thing. That is kind of the best thing about capitalism, I think, where business actually, government, leave me alone. The industry will do this ourselves because we know that if we don't do it, you'll do it. And you'll do a job that's not nearly as good as the job we'll do.
And we see that all the time currently. And so, if you fast forward to today, and you look at Hawaii's Better Business Bureau, we have 2,650, give or take a few, businesses that are accredited businesses that are members of Hawaii's Better Business Bureau through their dues that support our community outreach, our dispute resolution services, our web presence, where we're providing reviews on quality businesses and not so quality businesses.
I'm so glad you're on the show. This is an eye opener. So, I'm drawing a conclusion from what you said, Greg, that you are supported by business.
We're supported 100% by business.
Nobody in Washington
No
is writing
money.
you a check.
No,
that's perfect. It makes you pure in a sense, you know.
Exactly.
So they want to regulate themselves. They pay you to do that for them. This is a good thing for American business. Good thing for Hawaii, for sure.
It's a great thing, and we have several different programs under our umbrella, aside from just the regulation portion. But the beauty is that business is supporting our activities in the community because they know it's important. It's important to build marketplace trust in our community because we want to be able to show that these businesses are trustworthy. Your trust is well placed with them. Those businesses that are accredited subscribe to certain standards of conduct. They have the highest ethics. They have the best licensing that they can achieve in their trade or business. And all of that is verified by the staff at the Better Business Bureau. Very big difference from any other website that you'll be out looking at.
You are vetting your own members.
Vetting our own members.
So if I come to you and I want my business to be a supporter, a member, I guess, then you're not going to take anybody.
No.
You're going to vet me first.
Exactly.
And then if I get vetted and I'm a member, now I have special credibility. It's beyond just that you looked at me as a member of the business community. I'm a member of the Better Business Bureau. So presumably, I mean, to all appearances, I would be a stalwart in the business, a pillar of the community.
Pillar of the community. Exactly.
And that makes me even more worthy, in my view anyway, than just somebody that you vetted.
Absolutely.
So it really pays to join.
It pays
If you
to become
care
an
about your
accredited
reputation.
business. It shows you care about your reputation. It shows you care about the community. You care most importantly about the consumer. You're going to agree to go through mediation with that consumer as a first step before you would think about any sort of legal action. You agree to take care of that person. You agree to work with us in trying to solve that dispute. And you agree to uphold your licensing and be credible in your advertising and truthful in your advertising, which is, as I said before, even though back in the olden days that was something that ran rampant, we do still see problems in advertising with folks making
Sure.
rather large claims and puffery in their advertising
Sure.
in an attempt to drum up business.
Sure, although I'm sure the standards have changed since 1912.
Yeah.
God, to go back there, I wish we could go back there and have a conversation with
Yeah.
the founders of the BBB, and sort of take a look down Market Street, if you will, like that old film that that's wended its way around the internet of the trolley going down. It's about that time too, before the just around before the earthquake in San Francisco. Maybe that's 1900 something, but it's the same period. So did you ever find your members have failed? Do you ever find that they have failed to meet the standards and they have engaged in activities that you wouldn't approve? And what happens then?
It does
You
happen.
chuck them out?
We go through an annual review process.
Oh, do you?
So your accreditation is good for 1 year as a business owner, and so you've met the standards for that 1 year. At your anniversary date, we go back and re-vet all of that information to ensure that your licensing has been renewed, your taxes are paid up, you've got a good reputation with the tax office or with DCCA. We look at the legal files to make sure that there haven't been any government actions or civil claims that we may want to look into more to see if there's been a change in your business practice. And then we invite you to stay on for an additional year after that.
Oh, you invite me.
Yep.
So it's not automatic.
Not automatic.
It's not like I write a check
No.
like a magazine
No.
subscription. Oh, no.
No, not like a subscription. And unfortunately, we do have folks that we've had to revoke accreditation, let's say midway through the term, if they're engaged in some activity that's contrary to the principles that they agreed to uphold. We will terminate that accreditation. Again, this is voluntary policing of our
I
business
think that's
community.
important.
And if you don't live up to the standards, then we do have, and we have in the past, revoked that accreditation.
But there are value judgments involved in the
Absolutely.
revocation, and for that matter, in any vetting. I mean,
Well,
for example,
fortunately-
you go in public record and you find that I have some, I can't be certified for a tax clearance, okay? Because public can look and see if you
Exactly.
get a tax, and it'll say, not certifiable, not compliant, okay? And then you find that there's actually a mistake by the, well,
Exactly.
you don't know for sure, but the guy claims, your business member claims there's a mistake, and the tax office, is wrong.
It
This
does happen.
happens.
It
This
does happen.
happens.
Absolutely.
So what do you do then when you have the member says he's compliant, but you can't get a certification from the tax office?
I'm really glad you asked that question because we're a 501c6 membership organization. We're a nonprofit recognized by the IRS.
It's a trade association.
Trade association. So what that means is we have a board of directors who are business people in the community, and that board meets every other month to look over the way the organization is being run. I don't rule with an iron fist as the president and CEO. I report to a community of the board. And one of the nice things about that board is we have different committees that operate under the board. And one of those is our membership committee. And that membership committee of business leaders, of folks that work for both small, medium, and large companies, group of 10 to 12 people, will sit down and look at these individual cases before a business, their accreditation is revoked, or before there's an action that gets put into the system that you may disagree with or have a problem with. That group of your peers sits and looks at it, and they review it, and then they provide the feedback to our staff to say, this is what we think, this is what we feel, that, or we need to give them a little more time to clear it up, or look, we have information that would lead us to believe that this is an appropriate action, and we'll do X, Y, or Z.
So who's on the board? That, because that the board would ride over this kind of value judgment type decision, I think. And they're not just members; they're board members.
The board members. Yeah.
So who's the directors?
Well, I'm really fortunate to work with this group of people. I mean, we have some really outstanding folks in the business community. Our current board chair is Miles Murakami, president and CEO of Atlas Insurance. Our first vice chair is Cleo Brown with Zen Banks, an online bank, and she's been in the banking community in town for years. Our second vice chair is Scott Williams at Lex Brody. Then we have down in our treasurer spot, we've got Sam Yee, who is at Finance Factors. We have Kathy Inkinen, who's the chair
I know
of our,
Kathy, yeah.
from Inkinen
She's a
Associates.
stalwart for sure.
Really, so you can get a sense of the quality of people. We have both large businesses and small businesses that are represented on our board. And I could go on down through the list of 29.
They're not paid.
They're not paid. They're all volunteer directors.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's something about if I say that I'm a member of the board of directors of the BBB, that makes me 10 feet tall, because that means I'm a pillar of the community, and I'm involved in keeping everything straight around here. Yeah. And I don't mind putting the time in, so that's a really important directorship. There must be a lot of people out there who would be delighted to serve on your board of directors.
I would hope those people would reach out to me or one of our board members and let us know. We're always looking for the best and the brightest folks to add to our board and help support our mission in the community.
So let's take a moment, Greg, and talk about you.
Okay. Talk about me. How did I wind up here?
Exactly. Tell me the story. Tell me the tortuous route by which you got to where you are.
Yeah, exactly. It's I run into people in town, and folks are like, "How did you wind up there?" So you started out here and there. I landed on our fair shores about 20 years ago, doing commercial development with Barnes & Noble bookstores. And
Barnes & Noble, wow.
Right out of college, I went to work for Barnes & Noble, and we put together the new store at Kahala.
Yeah.
So we built that store out. That was great.
My firm handled the mortgage for that store.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And so started out there. Then after that, I went to Nike and worked for Nike and helped build the Nike town in Waikiki, and then ran that for several years. After that, Nike had invited me to move to the mainland, and that wasn't part of my plan. And so, no.
Good move. Good move. Good for you.
And,
that's character.
Yeah. And so then,
So yeah, we don't want you to be like me.
Exactly. Then after that, I was on the board of the YMCA of Honolulu, and my good friend Don Anderson said, we've got some really exciting things that could happen up at the Atherton YMCA at the University of Hawaii. And so that was my first foray into working in a nonprofit setting, was working for the YMCA of Honolulu as the executive director at the Atherton Y.
Can we stop there for a moment? Yeah. I mean, I'm into nonprofits. Of course, this is a nonprofit, and I'm sort of looking. It's a personal journey of mine. Look around at nonprofits and see all the really very qualified people in nonprofits, and try to figure out why they, cross the Rubicon.
Right.
And I mean, I feel that more and more of our community is dependent on nonprofits. They do more important work all the time, it seems like. Other elements of the community can't do this, and they must do it. And in fact, I heard just this week that the Internal Revenue Service is softer on nonprofits these days. They allow more of a sort of, what do you call it, more connection with profits. You can form joint ventures with profits. You can do things that maybe you couldn't do 20 years ago, and the Revenue Service, that's okay with that. The law has changed. And so I think it almost goes back to, it becomes a pillar of our economy somehow. And
it's one of the largest segments in the state behind government in terms of market segment, and in terms of the GDP in our community is governed by the nonprofit sector. It is a huge component in our state, and I think that as we continue to watch our state government in particular struggle with dealing with the issues that the nonprofits in the community are dealing with, we'll see the nonprofit sector continue to grow, because the state simply can't afford to maintain the level of services that our nonprofit community currently gives. And the nonprofit community, because you have so many do-gooders that want to do good, I think we'll continue to take on more and more and more as time goes on.
Yeah, I think that's well put. So, but somewhere in your career change, you had to go through this thought process.
Exactly.
And you decided you wanted to, do altruistic things. Tell us about that.
Well, I grew up in a family that served on boards and did a lot of volunteer work, and that was one of the things that was instilled in me at an early time in my life. And then I went to college at a liberal arts college where volunteerism was required. And as part of our work, we had to serve in the community and volunteering in either with schools or other nonprofits so that we could understand the necessity of the nonprofit community and volunteerism in a healthy community. And I think that for me, as I approach the thought process of, do I continue to work towards simply a profit motive and just the bottom line, did we make a profit or not with the companies I'd worked for, and then had the opportunity to engage in a nonprofit and say, we're going to now look at a triple bottom line where we have financial concerns, but we also have outcomes and outputs that we want to look at and say, those are also part of why we are engaged in the activity we're doing. Obviously, the financial remuneration in the latter job is not as great as it was in the for-profit jobs, but certainly the quality of life and the personal enjoyment that you get being engaged in a nonprofit, or in this case, working to strengthen our community at the Better Business Bureau, is something that really appealed to me and led me to make that change.
You never look back and look at some of your members, for example, making uku some of the executives in some of these companies making uku and you say, gee, I could have done that. I mean, for example, in my case, I could look back at some of the lawyers I graduated, in the East Coast with, and now they're on Wall Street running enormous companies. Should I look back, or should I enjoy the psychic benefits? I mean, this is really an important question for, I don't know if I could say our generation, but generations around us these days, because I think it goes to the quality of life in the country.
It's a very deep question. And,
it's okay, we do that
true.
here.
We do that here, right, in the depths of the studio. For me, I did have that point in my life where after the YMCA and after I ran the Nature Center in Hawaii, we had Hawaii Nature Centers. I was the previous executive director. After
That's
that,
the one up in Manoa there?
In Manoa,
Yeah.
Makiki Valley, and then Iao Valley on Maui.
Beautiful place, yeah.
Really fantastic organization I wish a lot more people knew about. I used to say it was the best kept secret in town, unfortunately. But after I left that position, I went back into real estate and doing a private real estate fund, and enjoyed doing that for 2.5 years. And then when this opportunity came up, I found that I had left the nonprofit fold, had still supported nonprofits, but when I was given the opportunity to step back in, this was a perfect fit, and it felt so good to come back and do the things in the community that needed to be done that you really can't be paid at a high level for, but that will make a long-term difference in our community.
Sure, both directions.
Both directions.
That's the
Exactly.
thing, that's so appealing about your situation. You can help business, help legitimate,
Exactly.
directions in business, and you can also protect the public, like the consumer protector. Except I think in a funny way, you have greater range, greater potentiality than the consumer protector does.
Well, you're spot on. The really great thing about the BBB, and the consumer may look at the BBB and say, oh, that's the people I call when I have a problem or a complaint. From a business perspective, if a business person gets a call from the BBB, they should be happy because we're calling them to help them out. We have staff people that are constantly vetting businesses, and if you qualify for accreditation, we'll reach out to you to update your file and invite you to become an accredited business member. People will have a greater trust in you. You'll also be able to utilize our services in helping you get better at your business.
So
help you understand
licensing.
licensing.
This, the question is one of sanctions. Right. If they call the consumer protector or
Exactly.
attorney general or the prosecuting attorney or somebody
It's
in
too
government.
late. It's too late.
It's too late. Well, right.
You're going to get rolled in to the regulatory and the prosecutorial process,
Which has a life of its own. And
Exactly.
you can't do much about that.
no, it's completely out of your control. Yeah.
But on the other hand, theoretically, if I'm making the complaint, there's a possibility I will have unleashed an avalanche unknowingly on
It
this
does.
businessman. And, God knows how that could spread. It could spread, for example, into tax areas.
Right.
And that could be a long-term problem for the wayward business. But in your case, your list of sanctions not that great. I mean,
Exactly.
you can sort of give them a black eye as far as your evaluation is concerned, but beyond that, what can you
No
do? You're not going to sue
prosecutorial.
them. You
You're not
can't.
going to sue them. They're not going to go to jail. The tax man's not going to come calling. And the worst thing we could do is take your accreditation away and report the truth of what transpired in that transaction that went awry or the situation that you were embroiled in. We reported in our business review that consumers can see on their website.
So I think there was a time when wayward businesses, I'll call them that, it's euphemistic, they're really much meaner and nastier than that, but wayward businesses could blow you off because your sanctions were limited. But that time, I suggest, Greg, has changed.
Absolutely.
And now, thanks to modern technology, you have leverage that was unimaginable in 1912 or ever since. And after this break, we're going to get into that.
Okay.
We're going to see the new clout of the Better Business Bureau emerging now in finer form than ever before. How you like that?
I like that. It's very good.
This is Think Tech Talks. We're talking about community matters because they do. And then we're talking about the Better Business Bureau, Better Business with the Better Business Bureau. We'll talk about the internet and how that's affected things right after this break with Greg Dunn, who is the president and CEO of the Hawaii Better Business Bureau. We'll be right back. I'm Jay Fidel. That's Sharon Moriwaki of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And every Wednesday we have Hawaii, the state of clean energy. We've been doing it for some time now, and we have some fantastic guests on there, unbelievable guests who give us insight into what is going on in a very complex, sometimes very confusing, sometimes very disappointing area of progress in the state. So we love doing this. We love meeting them. We love talking to them. We love having their ideas out on the table. So maybe, just maybe, we can all make some sense of what's going on. Sharon, what do you think?
I think that's absolutely correct. We enjoy ourselves meeting with all these people and hearing about the energy and the state of clean energy, and hopefully we advance clean energy for the state. So it's terrific. Join us. Come
Okay,
join
it's
us.
every Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is Energy Day. Every
Energy
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the state of clean energy, here on Think Tech Hawaii.
Energy
We'll see you
Wednesday.
there. Okay, Think Tech Talks. We're here on a given Wednesday. We're talking about community matters because they do. We're talking with Greg Dunn of the Better Business Bureau about how the Better Business Bureau makes better business. So as we left this exciting story just before the break, we were going to, get into the question of how the internet has changed and how my cell phone has changed business as far as the Better Business Bureau is concerned, given you new leverage. All in the last, 15, 20 years, maybe, not even that.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that. Tell me how this has sort of reorganized, rejuvenated, revitalized your mission.
Well, the Better Business Bureau recognized, I think a little bit late, we'll honestly say that the BBB on a national level was kind of late to the internet party. But the strength of the brand, the strength of the name recognition, particularly with people that are doing online shopping and looking to make purchases or to find a contractor or find someone to do higher dollar value transactions, continually brought them back to the Better Business Bureau. Because what are we about? We're about trust. About building marketplace trust.
In a world which trades in trust, because
Exactly.
trust is more important now than it ever was.
Than ever was, because 9 times out of 10, you have no idea who that person is that you're dealing with on the other side of that email string, or on the other side of the email that says, "Hi, I'm your great lost uncle in Nigeria, and boy, have I got a deal for you." So the BBB stepped up. We developed our website. It's now grown to be one of the top 300 websites in the United States in terms of information. We're the second most popular website for providing consumer information behind Consumer Reports.
Consumer Reports, really.
Behind Consumer Reports.
That's another name that must have been roughly
Another-
1912 too.
Another
yeah.
exactly another household name, trusted brand
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is really one that consumers look to for information. So what this does, it drives a lot of people to our website. Obviously, in Hawaii alone, we average between 60 to 70,000 visitors per month
That's huge.
to our website, to the hawaii.bbb.org website, with people that are doing research. They're looking for things. For example, we supplied last month, we had the number of folks that looked for business reviews were 58,291 people that were looking to do business in the state of Hawaii and looking at businesses, at the business reviews that we provided on our website.
That's telling you something. It's telling you that, one, they believe in the internet.
Exactly.
Two is they found your site and they like your site well enough to actually go there and read the material on a given company. And they keep going back. I mean, apparently it's word of mouth or whatever the process is. Maybe social media, who knows?
Social media,
It takes you back.
Part of the reason people come to the Better Business Bureau website is it's a trusted site. It's one in which the information that's contained there and the business reviews is all vetted by our staff. It's third-party independent review. If you go to a social media website that's crowdsourced, you wind up with things that people write on the spur of the moment. If someone's really angry at that moment, they're clacking away on their smartphone, writing a flame mail.
It's a lot of wheat and chaff.
A lot of wheat and chaff. And then we've also seen folks that are now under indictment for essentially shilling and writing false reviews at other sites.
That's true. More and more that happens.
That's
People
more and more.
find ways to abuse the system.
Exactly. And so with the BBB website, we have protocols in place to prevent or to make it incredibly difficult for those kind of activities to take place.
So let's talk about who is making the review. On a national level, you must have a national BBB staff somewhere, East Coast probably, Washington.
Washington, D.C.
And they take the lions, they take the yeoman's work about big companies, I guess.
Right. They would do a national review on a big national company.
Right. So, I mean, General Motors would not be reviewed by the BBB in Chicago.
Probably
or
Detroit. Probably Detroit.
Oh, would
still.
they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they would be reviewed because that's where it's headquartered. But a large multinational like Palmolive or Coca-Cola, though they may be headquartered out of Atlanta or one of the other main locales, will have a relationship with the national. I think one of the nice things about the BBB system is that you are treated with the staff of the community in which your headquarters is located. And so you have that ability to interact with folks locally that know you and understand your situation.
So
That's
if a
one of the
company
sources
is doing business here, then you and your staff would have you would be involved in vetting that company. You have a word on, a say on it, so to speak, for the national website.
So on the national website, they would have a review for their national website, and then we would have the information locally on our website for the local branch. I think a good example would be a Walmart, who has their office in Arkansas, and that's where their rating is out of. If you pull up a local branch of that outfit here in Hawaii, you would see where it would say no rating locally, but we would have the information on the local outlet here.
And sometimes you'd find that a national company, say Walmart, I mean, I'm not, talking, I'm only talking theoretically, Walmart would have a really good rating, but the local branch would be lousy, and so you could make that evaluation, and that would be valuable to anybody living in Hawaii. That sure, it's an international company, it's got a certain value, but locally it ain't so good, and so you can make that statement.
The next step in that is that locally we're able to allow customers to provide customer reviews on our website for local businesses. So to your point, if the Walmart or whichever store at a certain location is not meeting that consumer's expectations, and the consumer wishes to post a review on that location's business review on our website, they can type in, they enter the review. As soon as we receive the review, the business contact is advised that that review has come in and we'd like them to look over it. We're going to verify that that person was indeed a customer, that it's not a competitor who's looking to
Sure, that
sink their
happens.
ship,
That
and that does
happens.
happen. So our staff do the vetting and ensure that that review is appropriate and that that person is really a customer. And then if there's an issue that's brought up that the consumer needs a response on, or there's an issue that could be resolved, we try to work with the business to help improve that customer's expectations so that they can build hopefully a repeat customer out of that person, as opposed to just someone that left angry.
Sure. So, but what about, okay, so I write a stink review about X company, and you get it. Now, and then you give the X company the opportunity to respond,
Right.
and then you make a value judgment, I guess, to suggest that maybe X company could clean up its act. What about my reviews? Is that going on your website?
It goes on the website. It goes on the Better Business Bureau's business review on our website under your name.
Okay, and
As a
then do
company.
you or X company have the chance to comment on that?
Absolutely. Yep. The company
So-
has a chance, or the manager, whoever the spokesperson is for that entity, has an opportunity to respond to any comments on there as well.
Now, assume that you have verified I'm a real person. I'm not fictitious.
You have a receipt from the transaction.
and I
You've got
really
proof.
had the transaction
Right.
that I'm complaining about. You would put me on. I mean, is there ever a situation where you would deny me access to be posted on your site
As a consumer or as a business?
or as a consumer,
Absolutely.
as somebody who makes a complaint?
If we're not able to verify that you were really the customer, let's say you may have been a person that just picked the receipt up on the street, and or if we pull up the email address and find out that the IP address that originated from the email is, your competitor across the street, or the IP address is from within your own store. If
That's
you're
pretty
writing
cute, yeah.
a review, those things happen, right? So we would say no, we're not going to allow that.
Yeah. But other than that kind of-
Or if the business comes forward with additional information and says that, look, this customer has had it out for us since day one. We've got a file of 50 complaints from this person. We just can't do a thing to help them. We would go to that membership committee and ask for their advice and their counsel and see how we could come up with a win-win situation to
If
that.
you find I'm just a repeat complainer, and there's no value in my complaints over time, and I'm just making stink for the sake of it, you're not going to publish me.
Well, I wouldn't say that to you, Jay. I mean, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, we
and there are
live.
situations like that where you do have folks that you're just never going to make happy,
Yeah.
and our membership committee will take those kind of things into account.
Okay, so now you talked earlier about, and I really want to get into this. You talked earlier about mediation.
Yes.
Now, mediation is not binding. Do you ever get to arbitration, or is it limited to mediation for the
No, we do
BBB?
have arbitration as well. The difference between the mediation and the arbitration is obviously the mediation is informal, arbitration is formal and final.
Yeah.
And you agree to that. Obviously, we work with skilled mediators in the community. It's part of the service that we provide to our accredited businesses. It's just one of the many things that you as an accredited business have as that thing in your back pocket.
It's a
to
third
know.
party, though.
It's a
It's
third party.
outside of the BBB.
It's outside of the
professional
BBB. We have a
mediator.
professional mediator that we bring in and we facilitate and that we pay for.
You
So
pay for it.
We pay for it.
Not the complaining person or the
no,
company, but
it's
you.
as a benefit of your accreditation with the Better Business Bureau. It's like an insurance policy.
Okay, so
that we
give me
put
a
that forward.
circumstance. How does this actually happen? I'm a complaining person. I don't like X store. I think they did bad.
Well, let's look at what the top problem companies last month were.
Okay, good.
Say the top three were jewelers, airlines, and auto dealers.
Okay.
So my good friends in the auto industry will appreciate this. So
Let me tell you what I'm gonna do.
right? So the auto dealers in particular, we have a program with our auto line program where if you have a lemon complaint, let's say you've taken that car in 3 or 4 or 5 times, and you just can't get that brand new, Model X whatever to get fixed. And you want to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. We'll work with you through the complaint system. First, we go in with the auto dealer. We talk to them. There's some back and forth discussion about what they said, what you said. We still can't reach an agreement between the consumer and the company.
You try to do it. It's sort of in a pre-mediation kind of
Pre-mediation,
environment.
exactly.
He said this, she said that. You guys, can you agree on this, this, and this?
Right.
And maybe we can make this, work this out. But if that doesn't work,
If that doesn't work, then we propose mediation, because if that auto dealer, let's say it's with one of our accredited businesses, which is like Honolulu Ford is one of our accredited businesses, or Tony Auto Group, another accredited business that agree to uphold the highest standards. They are bound by their accreditation agreement to enter into mediation as a precursor. And so we put that forth to the consumer, bring both parties in. We bring in a mediator from the Mediation Center of the Pacific, and sit down, have the formal mediation. Each side presents their information to the mediator. The mediator works with both parties to get concessions all the way down until we get to a point where we have an agreement, and then the mediator works out the agreement between the two parties, and everyone goes away happy.
mediator writes it up, and
Mediator
then
writes it up.
presumably they perform whatever he has found. Of course, as a complaining party, I may not like that, and I'm not bound. I can go, for example, in the lemon law thing. I can take my my relief under the lemon law
Right.
and go sue him under the lemon law. But it sounds to me like once a complaining party gets within the umbrella, the umbrage of your system, it's probably real likely that he's going to follow through on that.
Almost
And,
100%.
He's going to stick.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that
Almost
what happens?
100%.
Yeah.
Once we get into mediation, we have really, really great experiences in getting folks through. Our staff are very skilled and trained at dispute resolution and de-escalating problems. One of the nice things, particularly for small and medium-sized businesses, is you can think of your BBB as your customer service entity. We're the folks that can help you if there's a really bad problem. You don't have a person that's skilled in major dispute resolution on staff. We're there to help you out.
Yeah. Now suppose the mediator, this third-party mediator, he finds in favor of the complaining party, and it's an absolute. It's just, this car company did wrong. They lied or cheated or whatever it is, and the car company says we disagree with that, and we're not bound by the mediation. What happens?
Well,
Would
the
you
car
throw him
company-
out? Is that
well,
what happens?
We would have to have a very serious discussion with the car company, because if they agreed to enter into the mediation, and part of that pre-agreement was that they were going to consider the determination of the finder of fact as
Well, effectively
gonna happen.
binding.
Effectively binding.
Because within the terms
within
of
the
their
terms of their
membership,
exactly.
it is effectively binding. I
Right.
mean, morally binding.
Morally
anyway.
binding,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so that's one of the reasons that the BBB brand is so strong in terms of providing that accreditation seal to businesses, is that folks have agreed to be bound voluntarily by that code of conduct, by those standards. And only by enforcing those standards are we able to maintain the value of the brand in the community. It's that trust that we build in the marketplace. And that's why it makes it so strong.
Yeah.
It's not just anyone can show up and write a check for $1,000 and become a member of the BBB tomorrow. That just doesn't happen. I could give you stories of some very, very reputable businesses in town that if you were to go in and you pulled them up on our website a couple of months ago, they had an F rating, and you're like scratching your head going, why are they rated as an F business? They're not accredited and they have an F rating, primarily because someone had a complaint about them and the business wasn't responsive. They didn't know, it got lost in the shuffle, it got lost in their customer service maze at the business. And because we were able to reach out to those businesses and help them resolve those issues, we're able to move them back up into a trustworthy area.
But if they blow you off,
But if they blow you
you're
off,
going to
then
give them an
they
F
aren't-
rating and let them suffer.
And
And then the next time the public comes around, they're going to wonder why this company has an F rating. That's a serious problem. Let's take a brief break, and when we come back, I'd like to talk about how you compare the process you just described, Greg, with the guys who are into social media and into Yelp and the like, and the Craigslist, or what's the other one? There's another one. Shall find out during the break and come back and ask you about it. Okay, this is Think Tech Talks. We're talking about community matters because they do. We're talking about Better Business with the Better Business Bureau and Greg Dunn, the president and CEO of the Hawaii Better Business Bureau. We'll be right back after this break.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for Think Tech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're sitting here in a very good discussion with Greg Dunn, who is the president and CEO of the Hawaii Better Business Bureau. We've learned a lot about the Better Business Bureau, and I think it's an important pillar in our business community. Here on Think Tech Talks, we're talking about better business through the Better Business Bureau today. So we've been talking about your system and how the web has turned out to be a great tool to advance your system in the past decade or two. And I want to, compare you with some of these new, these new social media or, list organizations, if you will. So we have Yelp. A lot of people go to Yelp. The millennials, probably would like to go to Yelp as a millennial type of site. It's their generation. We have Craigslist. I'm not sure that evaluates businesses, but businesses can certainly post things there. And I suppose they do. I mean, even in eBay, right? Mm-hmm. If some guy's going to sell me something, there's going to be a number of stars, and he'll be rated one way or the other. Mm-hmm. So I have that information that happens almost on a mechanical basis, on the basis of complaints. And I have Angie's List, and one of our staff mentioned something called Buku.
Buku. See, that was the millennial in the corner.
Okay. Thank you, Marshall. The question is, how do you fare against them? I mean, do you feel that they're nipping at your heels? Do you feel they're legitimate competition, or do you feel they come and go and they do not offer the same, credibility ratings that you do?
It's interesting to frame the conversation like that. I like to think of it as saying, the Better Business Bureau is here to help make businesses stronger. And several of the other entities that you spoke about are accredited businesses. They're businesses that have a profit motive. They're set up for a very specific purpose to receive remuneration in exchange for providing information via a web platform. Plain and simple, transactional relationship. And even on a social media platform where you're looking at something that's crowdsourced, providing a platform, again, very transactional for consumers to provide unvetted, unverified information and reviews onto that website, and then providing the businesses the opportunity to pay, in many cases, to move up in the results or move down or do different things. The Better Business Bureau model, on the other hand, as a business trade organization, as a 501c6, we provide the third-party review. We provide the trusted information that all of the things that should matter to you as you are going to engage a contractor, for example. Do they have a license? You may not find that on another website.
It's very profound. It's more than a few stars on the page.
It's more than a few stars on a page. Did that person have a large number of lawsuits filed against them that should give you concern? Do they have a GE tax number? Or are they going to get shut down in the middle of your project by the contractors board or by the tax office? Those kind of things that as you're looking, it's not whether or not Joe the plumber and if we have a Joe the plumber in Hawaii, please forgive me for saying that. But if that business is you're looking to invite them into your home or into your business to enter into a transaction, you should know the important things about it, not whether or not they were really nice to me or if I was seated promptly. There's a lot more to it.
Right.
And so consequently,
It's not limited to a consumer view.
Right.
It's a more sophisticated view.
exactly. This is real vetting on over 15 or 16 points that we go through and look before you can be invited to be accredited to make sure that you truly are one of the best businesses in the community.
Well, do you give them stars? I wonder if you give them stars.
We don't have stars, but what we have is we have the A through F rating. And if you fall below a B rating, you can no longer be accredited. So if you're
that's pretty
A
high.
minus, B plus, B.
Because when I go on a given website to buy a product, and I think we have to distinguish that from this discussion from your
Yeah.
functionality. When I go to buy, say, a camera, I'm always going to look at the consumer reviews on that site.
Yeah.
And frankly, if the consumer reviews are less than, say, 4.5 out of 5, I'm not going to touch that camera.
Right.
I want to be in the comfort of my peers. I want them all to tell me this is the best. This isn't halfway. This isn't even 3/4. It's the best, and then I'll do that. But you're not talking about that.
Yeah.
This is different.
This
You're
is
talking about
different.
the business that makes the stars.
Exactly. This is what's behind the curtain. It's not just the window dressing. This is how the business operates, how they run, how are they viewed in the community. What are some of the challenges they've had? What are some of the good things that they've done? If you look at it now with our consumer reviews, you look at a lot of the other third-party crowdsourced sites, and the majority of the reviews are negative. We turned on our consumer reviews earlier this year, late last year, and the majority of the reviews, north of 80%, are all positive. They're all positive consumer indications of a good experience with that business.
Are you talking about companies that do community things? The companies that sort of do payback. For example, one of the
Not
sad
necessarily.
things about some of these big box stores right here in our midst is they don't give a rip about participating in the local community. They're part of a national organization, and the rules are you don't do that, or you do it minimally.
Right.
Do you care about that? Do you report on that?
We do report on that, especially if a consumer were to write in and say, geez, we really appreciate that, this store is donating X amount of their sales to this entity, or they're engaging in this community-based activity. But more specifically, what happens is, let's say that someone went, again, to our good friends at Tony Auto Group, and they had a great transaction. They were happy with the car. They got treated fairly, with respect, and they trusted the salesperson. They felt like they got a good deal. They go onto the Better Business Bureau website. They pull up the Tony Auto Group website or business review, and they say, I'd like to leave a consumer review. They click on it, and they type in the information and say, this salesperson was fantastic, and we had this great experience. And then they click enter. We check with Tony Group to make sure that was an actual customer of theirs.
And it
assuming
wasn't
everything's
just
fine.
pumped up
Wasn't
by
just
Tony
pumped
Group,
up.
yeah.
Exactly. And then it gets published to their site as a review on that business site.
Yeah, that's
now,
great.
one of the great things about that, and this is where it kind of leads into the second part of your question about how the Better Business Bureau website and our web presence is head and shoulders above the other sites that are out there that small businesses can take advantage of, is that the BBB ranks incredibly high as a trusted source for information on the internet. So Google, Bing, Yahoo, all of the major search engines rank the BBB content and information higher as a trusted source than what you'll see coming from many other information sites. That's because those search engines recognize that our data is third-party independent review. So now what does that mean for you as a small business person? So as a small business person, you're trying to evaluate, how do I, as ThinkTech Hawaii, let's say you want to do more social enterprise, and you're going to do a project in the community that requires some commerce. How do you get greater traction in people's web search when they're looking for you online? By being an accredited business with Hawaii Better Business Bureau, our our Alexa ranking, our ranking in
How you spell Alexa?
ALEXA, our web ranking, we're in the top 300 in the country. And so because we have that high ranking, and because you would have a direct feed from our site to your site, that trusted link is incredibly important, and will tend to drive your search rankings much higher than you would get organically by just having your own website.
So everybody who plays on the site has greater credibility because it's that site.
It's that site, and that you can't buy. That is, again, that's
No, it's your middle name. you
Right.
know. Middle name? Well, one of you.
yeah. It's business. It's a better business.
So we got only a minute left, and I wanted to ask you, my final question, which is where's this all going? I mean, if you sort of sit astride this, this engine of business evaluation, of business credibility, and you look around you and you see other sites that are maybe they're not competitors, but they're certainly in that marketplace. They're in that zone. Where is it all going? What do you think is going to happen in terms of this phenomenon as a controlling, moderating force in moderating American business and keeping it, reasonably honest?
I think that we'll definitely see some contraction in terms of the space. If you think about what it takes to run an organization like this, and what it costs to do independent third-party review and run ranking sites and bring folks in as on a fee basis, there have been a lot of additional sites that have popped up around the country, and I think over time you'll see some of those wax and wane. There'll be some consolidation, but I think that online shopping and online reviews are here to stay. I think that as we see the transformation from a smartphone environment to now more tablets, now Google Glass, is that going to take off? It's like, who knows? But when you have the importance of technology as part of the transaction, it's here to stay. And I think that the Better Business Bureau sees that, and our plans are improving mobile, moving more business to business. How can we help our accredited businesses to take further advantage of these platforms, particularly the small and medium-sized businesses that don't have large budgets for IT? For many of our accredited businesses, we are their only web presence. But it's a pretty good web presence. When you think about you as an accredited business, as a small business person, can have over 50, 60,000 people a month looking at your business review, or having the opportunity to view your business review on our site.
It seems like as this goes forward, you become more and more part of the whole web evolution, because as the web proceeds, more people use the web to determine credibility, but also more scammers are operating on the web.
Exactly.
So you really have to be very knowledgeable about both sides of that.
Absolutely. It's a scary. Even those of us that work at the BBB constantly get the scam emails, and may get fooled once or twice to click on a link and take a look at something. You really have to protect yourself out there.
And I lived in the storm.
And exactly, as they said, buyer beware. Well, now you don't even have to be a buyer to beware. You just are online. You've got to beware. So.
That's Greg Dunn. He's the president and CEO of the Hawaii Better Business Bureau. Here on Think Tech Talks, we've been talking about the better business through the Better Business Bureau on community matters. Thank you so much, Greg Dunn. Appreciate you coming down.
Thanks, Jay. I really appreciate your time.
Aloha.
Thank you so much. Aloha.